Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Nivada Grenchen Aquamar Black. This watch is available from NivadaGrencheNofficial.com for €1,295. This piece is a heritage reissue of the original Nivada Aquamar, which was made in 1967, made to modern day specifications. The watch is available on a plethora of strap options and also two bracelet options, a flat link bracelet or alternatively beads of rice bracelet. Of the two bracelet options, I think this flat link bracelet is the best looking. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the specifications of the piece. So the watch comes in a watch box which is protected in shipping by this outer black cardboard box, which I'll show you the interior of. So the underside of the lid of the outer box, we have Nivada Grenchen's logo, and in the base it says "Welcome to the Nivada Grenchen Owners Club," and it invites you to share images of your piece on their social media. It gives you their social handle, which is @NivadaWatches, and also the hashtag Nivada Grenchen. Also has the contact email if you want to make a warranty claim, contact@NivadaGrencheNofficial.com. So this is the watch box itself, and as you can see, it's protected by a cardboard sleeve, high definition image of the Aquamar Black on the Tropic strap. So I'll remove the cardboard sleeve and show you the watch box itself. So the watch box is made from plastic and it's vinyl or PU leather coated, as you can see. Nivada Grenchen emblem in gilt on the lid. On the front we have the Nivada Grenchen text logo in gilt. Very aesthetically pleasing, nice matte grain finish to the vinyl or PU leather, and good attention to detail because on the base of the watch box it is lined with felt. And this black felt is good because it prevents the watch box sliding around on a desktop or a tabletop, and also prevents the watch box scuffing and scratching it. So that's very good attention to detail. Very aesthetically pleasing. I'll remove the lid, which is a very snug fit to the base. As you can see, base is fully upholstered with black velour fabric to a good standard, very aesthetically pleasing, and in the base there's a cutout, and the watch sits on a padded pillow cushion which is also black velour upholstered to a good standard. It's a very nice presentation. I'll show you the underside of the lid. So the watch is also protected by this foam cutout panel, so there's no risk of scuffs and scratches, and inside we have the Antarctic Aquamar by Nivada Grenchen waterproof. So to clarify, the Aquamar was originally made in 1967 and it is part of the Antarctic series of dive pieces made by Nivada in the 1960s. So this is a heritage reissue of the original Aquamar from 1967 but made to modern day specifications. With regards to items that come with the piece, one also gets this warranty card, and there's space to fill in the serial number of the piece, and on the reverse it details the terms and conditions of the 2-year international warranty, and it's stamped with the date of purchase. So I want to give due credit to Nivada Grenchen here, because often mid-tier pieces, and to clarify, mid-tier is €500 to €5,000 price point. This piece is clearly within the mid-tier at €1,295. Often mid-tier pieces are only covered by a 12-month international warranty. To get 2 years of international warranty is excellent, and they deserve full credit for that. And lastly, one also gets this die-cast metal tag, and as you can see it has Nivada Grenchen Antarctic, and on the reverse it's blank, and this confirms that this Aquamar Black is part of the Antarctic series of Nivada Grenchen pieces. The one thing that's absent, and I would like to see Nivada Grenchen include, is an owner's instruction manual in the form of a printed booklet with clear concise diagrams, instructions in English, detailing the operation of the movement used, which is the Soprod caliber P024 automatic. As an alternative to a printed booklet owner's instruction manual, they could simply have a card with a QR code that could be scanned with your Android or iPhone to download the owner's instruction manual. That is notable. They really need to include that because it's absent, and it's wholly unacceptable for a mid-tier piece not to come with an owner's instruction manual or a card with a QR code for downloading it at this price point, €1,295. With regards to the specifications of the piece, we have a 38mm case diameter. We have a lug-to-lug measurement of 45mm, a thickness of 12.9mm, and a lug width of 20mm. The flat link bracelet tapers from 20mm at the lugs down to 16mm at the 2-button push clasp, so we've got the perfection personified taper, 20 to 16, which is correct for a 38mm head of the piece. 2-button push clasp is solid 316L grade stainless steel, longitudinal bust satin finishing to the body, and that contrasts with a flawless mirror polishing to the flanks. As an alternative to a micro adjustment ratcheting mechanism, we have 5 micro adjustment holes drilled in the flanks, which is good because you can easily adjust the length, because you can depress the spring bar inside the body of the 2-button push clasp using a spring bar tool externally, so very easy to adjust. 5 micro adjustment holes gives plenty of adjustment in the absence of half links in the flat link bracelet. The body of the flat link bracelet has a beautiful lustre to it and nice large milled stripes, as you can see, on the left and the right hand flanks, and they are mirror polished to a flawless standard. No sharp edges, no burrs, doesn't have sharp corners, and it is embossed with the Nivada Grenchen shield emblem to a good standard. This does give the piece a vintage aesthetic, and subjectively one could be critical at this price point of it not having a ratcheting mechanism or glide lock style clasp, but purist Nivada Grenchen collectors will appreciate this style of clasp because the holes drilled in the flanks does give it a vintage aesthetic, and this is a heritage reissue of the original Aquamar from 1967, and that did have a similar clasp, although it was pressed stainless steel versus milled. So this is high quality, but it does have the aesthetic of a 1960s Aquamar clasp. We have a double-domed boxed top hat style crystal with AR coating on the underside, and the anti-reflective coating does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the silver mirror polished baton handset. Boxed top hat crystal is 2mm thick, and as you can see gives the piece a vintage aesthetic. Often with heritage reissues, it's difficult for Swiss brands to get the balance correct between vintage aesthetic from the 1960s but upgrading to modern day specification as per 2025. Nivada Grenchen have got the correct aesthetic here because this box top hat crystal does look like an acrylic crystal as used on the Aquamar in 1967, but of course one has the benefit of sapphire crystal with AR coating. Sapphire crystal is more hard and scratch resistant than acrylic, and the AR coating gives improved legibility and clarity, so one doesn't get the characteristic distortion and magnification effect of a thick acrylic crystal used in the 1960s. This double-domed boxed top hat crystal has better legibility, better clarity and more scratch resistance. Now this piece features a unique aspect which I'll detail. The P024 automatic has a date complication, but Nivada Grenchen have modified this piece. Rather than having a date complication, it has a roulette wheel. So the roulette wheel alternates between white and peach patina superluminova, and you can operate that via the crown, which I'll demonstrate. The dial layout does look the same as the original 1967 Aquamar. It also had a very similar tone to the indices. This is a sandwich dial, so to clarify, beneath the dial is a roulette wheel which replaces the date wheel. So rather than having Arabic numerals on a date wheel, which is visible through a dates window at the default position of 3 o'clock, Nivada Grenchen have used a sandwich dial with cutouts. So there are 12 cutouts for the indices rather than the indices being printed on the dial or applied indices. And the cutouts reveal the roulette wheel. And the roulette wheel, rather than rotating from or alternating from black to red, it alternates between white and peach, and you can operate it via the crown. This is a unique feature. It's the first time I've seen this on a watch, and I think Nivada Grenchen deserve credit for coming up with something original. Now, visually, aesthetically, this piece does look the same as the Aquamar from 1967, which also had a peach tone to the loom when it patinaed, because originally the loom used was tritium, and of course with time tritium develops a peach tone when it patinas or patinates, and on the hands, which are baton hands, it has the same peach tone. So this piece uses two different colours of superluminova, C1 superluminova and also PMS 7401C, and the 7401C superluminova is used on the roulette wheel. On the bezel, which is fully loomed, the minute ticks and also the loom pip, which is orange, they use C1 superluminova, which we'll test in the loom test. So visually the dial looks the same as the original. I like that it's not over branded with unnecessary text and specification. We simply have the Nivada Grenchen emblem shield at the 12 o'clock position, Nivada, SP and then Aquamar. It does look visually similar to the original. And then either side of the 6 o'clock index we have Swiss made, because of course this piece is made in Switzerland and the movement used, the Soprod caliber P024, is also Swiss made. So dial looks very similar to the original, baton hands look original, and also the contrasting orange second hand was a feature of the original 1967 Aquamar, so it looks good. They've got the balance correct between vintage aesthetic from 1967 but modern day specification. The bezel is bi-directional. Now this may come as a surprise to you. Subjectively, one could be critical that they didn't upgrade this to a 60 click or 120 click contemporary standard, because they are now the industry standards. The original Aquamar from 1967 also had a bidirectional friction bezel. So to clarify, the original Aquamar from 1967 predated the use of 60-click and 120-click unidirectional bezels, which were introduced from the 1980s onwards. Purist Nivada Grenchen collectors will appreciate this is true to the original. It's pure because it has a bidirectional friction bezel as per the original Aquamar. I would prefer, this is one area they could have updated, and I think 120-click unidirectional bezel would be beneficial, but this is subjective. Some collectors will prefer it, some collectors will dislike it. Another notable upgrade is the bezel insert material. The original Aquamar from 1967 had a solid stainless steel bezel, and the bezel insert was aluminium, which was the popular material used in the 1960s. And it was anodized black, and of course the minute ticks and the triangle were silver. This has ceramic for the bezel insert, and of course that's a notable upgrade to modern day specifications. Ceramic is harder and more scratch resistant than aluminium bezel inserts, therefore it's not going to be prone to being scuffed and scratched. Again, this is subjective. Purist Nivada Grenchen collectors would have preferred the original bezel insert material, which was aluminium. Some collectors will prefer the modern day enhancement of it being more scratch resistant. Has 60-minute ticks, rather like a Rolex Mill sub bezel, and the quality of the engraving is high definition and crisp. Also, the font of the Arabic numerals for 10, 20, 40 and 50 are sharp and crisp. It's not too thick and blurry. The engraving of the minute ticks, also the Arabic numerals, is sharp, very high definition. They've done a very good job of infilling the minute ticks and the Arabic numerals with C1 Superlume Nova. Lume Pip is also fully lumed with C1 Superlume Nova, but it has an orange tone in daylight to complement the orange contrasting second hand and also the patina tone of the indices which are on the roulette wheel. So, bezel is solid 316L grade stainless steel, gear tooth profile. Now, subjectively, I would think this would look more aesthetically pleasing if it was a low profile coin edge bezel, but the undercut to the gear tooth bezel is very aesthetically pleasing, and it is low profile as per the original Aquamar from the 1960s. So again, they've got the balance correct. It does visually look similar to the original Aquamar bezel, but of course the ceramic bezel insert is harder and scratch resistant. So let's test the bezel execution. Bidirectional, so it feels the same both clockwise and anti-clockwise, rather like a GMT complication piece. Medium resistance to it. Doesn't feel too light, doesn't feel too heavy. It's got medium resistance. It doesn't feel too firm, but one has to get a good grip with one's index finger and thumb and give it a good turn with torsion in order to get it to rotate. I like that it's medium, not too light, because when you rub against it with your hand, for example, it's not going to accidentally move out of position, and it's good because sometimes with bidirectional friction bezels, the spring beneath, which is octagonal shaped and provides friction in the groove inside the bezel, often it doesn't provide enough friction, and the problem is it can accidentally knock out of position when you rub against it. This one has it right. The friction or the resistance isn't too heavy and it's not too light either. It's just in between the two. It's medium. Feels smooth. Both clockwise and anti-clockwise, it feels smooth all the way through the 360 degrees of rotation. No lateral side-to-side play whatsoever, so that's good. Feels nice and tight laterally. And of course, because it's bi-directional, we don't need to check for back play because you can rotate it both clockwise and anti-clockwise, and therefore you can set the alignment perfectly correct with the Lume Pip in orange and the triangle which is engraved into the ceramic. So, feels good. I like it. Medium resistance, feels even all the way through the 360 degrees, both clockwise and anti-clockwise, and it feels smooth. Doesn't feel rough or gritty. I would prefer 120-click unidirectional bezel, but as I've detailed, purist Nivada Grenchen collectors that appreciate the original 1967 Aquamar will like that it's pure and true to the original bidirectional friction bezel as used on the original. So let's test the crown. Screw down crown provides an effective hermetic seal to 200 meters, which is strong specification. Coin edge finished, nice large chamfer which deletes the sharp tips to the coin edge teeth, and it's embossed with a Nivada Grenchen shield, which is mirror polished to a high standard, very aesthetically pleasing. Correctly proportioned. The crown is large enough to be grippy and tactile. You can get good purchase with your index finger and thumb, but it doesn't stick too far proud of the right hand flank, and therefore when you flex the wrist, the crown doesn't dig into the back of the hand, so they've got it correct. So let's test the screw down crown execution. Silky smooth. This is sublime screw down crown execution. Minimal number of turns required. Perfect interface between the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. It is very well machined. Tolerances are good. Now, this does have a date complication because it's the stop rod caliber P024 automatic, but as I've detailed, Nivada Grenchen modify it. They remove the date wheel with Arabic numerals and they replace it with a roulette wheel. And rather than the roulette wheel alternating between black and red, it alternates between white and peach, or white and patina superluminova, and the patina superluminova is PMS 7401C, which has a peach tone. So pulling it out to the first click position would be the date complication, but we don't have a date complication, so rotating the crown clockwise changes the colour of the indices. So it's a sandwich dial and the roulette wheel is beneath it, and as you can see it clicks over, but rather than clicking over to the next day of the month, what happens is it clicks over between patina, which is peach, and the next click is white, and then it clicks back over to peach again and clicks back over to white. So the roulette wheel alternates between white and peach, and so on. In terms of how it feels exactly the same as a date complication. It feels like the standard stop rod caliber P024 automatic when you're clicking over to the next day of the month on the date wheel. The clicking feels positive, it feels heavy, but also feels refined. Doesn't have backplay, doesn't feel sloppy, doesn't have any slack. So it clicks over with a nice positive click, and this is something I've never seen on a watch before, being able to change the indices from peach to white and white to peach. So this is innovative, it's different, and it's a novelty. It's something unusual and something different. And Nivada Grenchen deserve credit because when they made this Aquamar heritage reissue of the original 1967 Aquamar, they didn't have to do this. They could have just used printed indices in C3 patina superluminova, and of course visually it would have looked like the original, but they haven't. They've come up with something different to make the piece more interesting. So it's interesting because you can rotate the crown and change the colours. So for example, if you want to have white indices on the dial, you just simply rotate the crown and you can easily change it back to patina. So very interesting, and subjectively one could say, well, the negative of this is the baton hands remain in patina. So for example, when you change over to white, like so, the white indices don't match the patina superluminova on the baton hands. There's a clash, there's a mismatch. But of course, when you rotate to the patina tone, the patina on the roulette wheel perfectly matches the patina tone of superluminova on the baton hands, and it just gives the collector the option of having a white set of indices on the dial, 12 white indices, or alternatively 12 patina peach tone indices, and it clicks over with a nice positive click, so it feels positive. As you can see, very quick to change. We've now got peach tone and one click is white, as you can see, and then one click again is peach. Works very well. Feels exactly the same as setting the date on a piece. The clicks feel exactly the same as clicking over to the next day of the month. So to clarify, you can only rotate it clockwise. It clicks clockwise. When you rotate it anti-clockwise, it doesn't do anything. It's the same as setting a date on a P024 automatic. When you rotate the crown clockwise, it clicks over to the next day of the month. When you rotate it anti-clockwise, it doesn't do anything. So that's something to note. You can only rotate it clockwise. The roulette wheel beneath the dial only rotates clockwise only. It doesn't rotate anti-clockwise. No backplay in it, no slack, clicks over with a positive click, and very easy to cycle between white and patina. I think it's good, I think it's interesting, and I think it's a novelty. So pulling it out to the second click position hacks the movement. If you look at the contrasting orange second hand, you can see it's now stopped dead, so therefore it's possible to set the time precisely to the second with a stop rod caliber P024 automatic. So we're now in the time setting position. Feels smooth. Feels exactly the same as the standard P024 automatic, even though this is modified with the roulette wheel rather than a dates wheel. Clockwise and anti-clockwise, no discernible difference, doesn't feel rough or gritty, feels smooth, minimal friction to it. Feels exactly the same as setting the time on an ETA 2824-2, because of course the P024 is a clone of it. Also feels similar to setting the time on a SW200-1, because that is also a clone of the ETA 2824-2. All three movements have the same architecture. The only difference in the architecture is the SW200-1 has 26 joules versus the 25 joules of the ETA 2824-2 and this stop rod P024, which has 25 joules also. So it feels smooth, minimal backplay. When you rotate the coin edge crown clockwise and anti-clockwise, there's an almost immediate response. The minutes hand has minimal backplay in it. You don't have to take up a lot of slack in the gearing. It's good. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click, and that restarts the contrasting orange second hand. It begins to sweep around the dial once again at the characteristic 4 Hz smooth sweep. So let's test screwing the crown back down. Instant thread pickup. There's a perfect interface between the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. 200 meters is strong specification, and I like it. This is sublime screw down crown execution, silky smooth, perfect pickups on the threads. They could not refine it further. It's an excellent screw down crown, sublime. Right, so let's look at the case back in detail. So solid 316L grade stainless steel case back, and as you can see, the centre section has the iconic Nivada penguin emblem, which has Nivada Antarctic embossed. So to clarify, this confirms that this Aquamar is part of the Antarctic series of dive pieces which have been made since the 1960s, and the Aquamar was made from 1967 onwards as part of the Antarctic series. So all of the Antarctic pieces feature the iconic penguin shield, and it is in gold as per the original pieces from the 1960s. Very aesthetically pleasing. So this is forged, and you'll know from my previous reviews I prefer forged case backs rather than engraved and embossed case backs. Forged case backs are produced by hydraulically pressing, and the benefit of hydraulically pressing a forged case back versus engraving it is the forging gives a nice smooth finish to it. It's three-dimensional, it's embossed rather like an engraved case back, but the benefit is one doesn't get the sharp edges one gets with deep engraving and embossing. Feels very smooth. So this penguin Nivada Antarctic emblem doesn't feel rough, it doesn't feel sharp against the wrist, it feels perfectly smooth even though it is textured and 3D effect. The stainless steel portion is concentric CNC lathe tool machined, engraved with high definition engraving in a very aesthetically pleasing font with a specification and reference number of the piece, which is very good. And the circumference of it is also concentric CNC lathe tool machined, but they have matte bead blasted it. It's also got a 10-sided or dodecagon profile to it, and I like the dodecagon profiling, the 10 sides to it rather than an octagonal 8-sided case back. Adds interest. Rather than just having a circular case back as per Rolex or Tudor style, this dodecagon 10-sided case back does look very aesthetically pleasing, and they've mirror polished it with a large chamfer which deletes the sharp tips to the dodecagon teeth, so it's very good, or dodecagon flats rather. I like it as an alternative to a scalloped case back. I think it's a very aesthetically pleasing case back, and also the gold embossed Nivada penguin Antarctic emblem adds interest to it. It's low profile. That's the thing I like about it. This piece is only 12.9mm, which is good because it does have a thick 2mm box top hat double dome sapphire crystal, which adds significant thickness. One would expect this to be over 13mm. 12.9 for an automatic is very good with 200 meters. The case back isn't a deep bubble back case back. It's flat, even though it is 3D with the embossing. And I think they deserve credit for that because it's low profile, and therefore this piece sits very close to the wrist, as I'll show you in the wrist shots, and they've done a very good job of machining it. The end links in the flat link bracelet are a good tight fit to the head of the piece. They've used standard stainless steel spring bars. This could be upgraded to quick release spring bars, but this is not detrimental. One can easily remove the bracelet with a spring bar tool. The underside to the head of the piece is concentric CNC lathe tool machine to a good standard. Nice large bevels which delete the sharp edges to the undercuts to the flanks, and I like the curved undercut profile. Nice low profile flanks. They're not too thick and slab sided, so this wraps around the wrist very well, and it's got a very notable compact lug to lug of 45, so it's particularly suitable if you have a smaller wrist of 6 to 7 inches. 38 diameter by 45 is compact. I think this is a very good fit if you have a 6 to 7 inch wrist. Right, so I'll give you wrist shots and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now I haven't sized the bracelet, and I'm pleased to report I can easily slide an index finger between the bracelet and clasp at all times. I can actually slide 2 fingers beneath it, so this confirms this bracelet will fit up to a very large 9-inch wrist size, and even with my 8-inch wrist you can see I'm now on the maximum extension, position 5 of 5 on the clasp, and this is at its absolute limit. It would easily fit a 9-inch wrist. There are enough removable links on the 6 o'clock side and the 12 o'clock side of the flat link bracelet to size this down to a minimum 6-inch wrist size. So 6 inches is the minimum with all the links removed, 9 inches is the maximum on its maximum extension. This piece is surprisingly lightweight. It lacks heft, and it's 144 grams. Now, with all the links in this flat link bracelet, I would expect this to be circa 150 plus. 144 for a 38 with a flat link bracelet is excellent. Now, of course, it's very long. Even I would remove 4 or 5 links from this bracelet for my 8-inch wrist. If you have a 6 to 7-inch wrist, you're going to be removing 8 links. If you have a 7 to 8-inch wrist, you're going to be removing 6 links, and that will reduce it to 120 to 130 grams, and of course make it very comfortable, very well balanced. Female pivoted end links in the flat link bracelet are the correct choice because they allow the end link in the flat link bracelet to articulate well. Nivada Grenchen deserve credit here because often mid-tier Swiss microbrands, they make the mistake of using male end links with flat link bracelets, and of course that makes the lug to lug too long, and the end link in the flat link bracelet can't articulate, it can't pivot beneath the tips of the lugs. But this does have female pivoted end links, and as you can see, the benefit is, look how snug the end of the flat link bracelet pulls to my wrist. Minimal gap beneath the tips of the lugs, nice curved profile, deep undercut, so the flanks aren't slab sided, looks very low profile, visually looks low profile, also feels low profile. This does not feel like a thick slab of 316L grade stainless steel sitting on top of the wrist. It curves around the wrist like a tonneau case, and that's something to note because this case shape is not original to the original Aquamar from 1967. Nivada Grenchen have updated it, or one could say refined it. The original Aquamar from 1967 had a large tonneau case, which was rather like a thick slab of 316L grade stainless steel. The tonneau case was wide and it was also thick. This has a more Black Bay 58, or one could say Black Bay 54 style case without crown guards. It doesn't look like a tonneau case, although it does have a similar curvature to a tonneau case, but the lugs are more tapered. They've reduced the meat on the flanks. Visually, they've improved it, they've refined it. The original Aquamar was wider, the tonneau case looked thicker visually. This has lower profile flanks, also has more slender taper on the lugs rather than the wider profile of the tonneau original version of the Aquamar. So they've got it right. I would describe the case as refined, and I would say improved upon the original. The original tonneau case was aesthetically pleasing. Of course, it did look like a 1967 piece, as one would expect, but this looks more contemporary. It looks more like the lug profile on a Black Bay 58 or a Black Bay 54, but one doesn't have slab sides, so it's good. Wrist presence is good. Although it's 38, it does wear more like a 39, and so I would say even if you have a larger wrist of 7 to 8 inches, the 38 does give enough wrist presence, and of course one has to appreciate this is a heritage reissue of the 1967 Aquamar, so therefore one would expect it to be 38. In the 1960s, 36 was actually a popular size for dive pieces, but in today's standards, in 2025, 36 would be considered small for a dive piece. 38 was also a popular size, so this really is true to the original proportions and dimensions of a 1960s dive piece. 38 was a popular size. It looks good. Flat link bracelet really is very aesthetically pleasing. Beautiful luster to the brushed satin finishing is absolutely gorgeous. This is available on a beads of rice bracelet, but I think this flat link bracelet is the correct choice because it's just got a beautiful luster to the links. I love the way it catches the light. Clasp has a nice curvature to it. It's not too thick, it's not too bulky, doesn't stick too proud from the wrist. Curvature is good. It's got a nice curved profile to it which will fit a 6 to 7 inch wrist and also a 7 to 8 inch wrist equally. Plenty of micro adjustment because we've got 6 micro adjustments in the flanks, and I like the 2 milled stripes as you can see on the left and the right hand flanks because this contrasts with the longitudinal brushed satin finishing. Beautiful luster to it. Aesthetically pleasing but not too bulky, plenty of adjustment, nice curvature to it. I like the proportions. Taper is perfection personified, 20 to 16. They've made the correct decision. For example, had they used a 22 to 18, would have had too much meat. The only thing I will say is the links are very thick, and I think they could slim down the links to reduce the meat because it does add a lot of heft to the bracelet and the links do feel quite thick. H-link bracelets really should be thinner, and I think these links would be appropriate for a Jubilee style bracelet or an Oyster style bracelet, but with a flat link bracelet the benefit is that it's flat, it should lie close to the wrist. This does articulate well, doesn't pull arm hairs, feels smooth, doesn't feel sharp, but the links are thick so it does stick proud from the wrist. So I think they could slim down the thickness, but the taper is perfection personified, 20 to 16. It's fantastic and I absolutely love the luster of it. Lovely fine grained satin finish to it, it's just gorgeous. Right, so Comfortable piece to wear, feel good factor is excellent, comfort level is excellent, and 12.9mm, just below the sweet spot of 13, so it will easily slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts. Right, so let's do a lume test. Now, before I do the lume test, I'm going to unscrew the crown and put it into the roulette wheel position, which is the date complication position, because I want to rotate it when I'm doing the lume test and just see what the difference is between the patina and the white indices. So I'll set it on the patina first, we'll do the lume test, and then I'll repeat it, changing it over, because I just want to see how it looks in the dark when we have the patina tone on the indices and the white tone. What's the difference? Because they use C1 Superlume Nova on the fully lumed bezel, but on the date wheel, which becomes the roulette wheel for the indices, they use PMS 7401C, and it's the first time I've seen PMS 7401C, which is patina tone and white, and in the dark it glows like C3 Superlume Nova in green. So we'll test it in both positions. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to the absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. Visually, this looks very similar to C3, but on the bezel, which is fully lumed, it's actually C1. C1 has a whiter green tone than C3, which is a darker green. Now, on the dial, which is a sandwich dial, and we've got the roulette wheel beneath it, the baton hands and the sandwich dial match well, so there's a good colour tone match between the bezel, the dial and the baton handset. Good even application on the engraved ceramic bezel insert. The lume pip is glowing orange, but the actual engraving of the minute ticks, the Arabic numerals, and also the sandwich dial and the baton hands all appears to glow green, which is a surprise. Now just bear with me, and I'm just going to shine the torch on it so you can see. So the lume pip actually glows orange, which is a surprise. Now, subjectively, I'm going to be critical of this. I think they should have made the lume pip, which is patina tone in daylight, it's got an orange tone, and I appreciate the reason why they've done that. They want to make it look like a lume pip, which is made from tritium from the 1960s, which has developed a patina and, of course, turn peach or orange. But I think it's a step too far. They should have made it green, because as you can see, in the dark it glows orange. So there's a clash. On the fully lumed ceramic bezel insert, it's green. Now, this is a surprise because on the specifications, they state that this uses C1 Superlume Nova on the bezel inserts, but on the dial and the hands, it's supposed to use PMS 7401C, and I can only assume that the PMS 7401C is a grade of C1, because that's the patina tone of it, which actually is white-green. Right, so that's now fully charged again, and you can see the camera has auto-focused on it. So we're looking at 5 to 6 layers on the bezel, 5 to 6 layers on the roulette wheel, which is effectively the date wheel replaced, and 5 to 6 layers on the baton hands. Now, one has to appreciate baton hands do not allow for a large area or a large plot of C1 to be applied, as per Mercedes hands or snowflake hands, and of course they're limited in the layers they can apply to the roulette wheel, because it's a sandwich dial, and if they make the roulette wheel, which replaces the date wheel, too thick, it wouldn't have enough clearance between the underside of the dial and also the main plate of the movement. So they're limited, they can only apply a certain number of layers, but I think it's potent. The exciter is potent, but I think there's room for improvement. We are looking at 5 to 6. I think the sandwich dial is the problem, because with the cutouts in the sandwich dial, of course, the dial can't be too thick, and of course the roulette wheel beneath it can't be too thick either. So as you can see, initially there's a bright burst of potency from the exciter, but then it fades. So we're looking at 5 to 6. There's a good colour tone match, with irrespective of the orange lume pip. There's a good colour tone match of the green on the bezel, the green on the dial, the green on the baton hands, and I think it's glowing to an acceptable standard, although I think they could improve upon it. This would look better if they'd used X1 mixed in with C3, because X1 is brighter white than C1. X1 mixed with C3 adds some potency to the exciter, and it's got whiter performance than C3. Alternative, they could have used BGW9, but of course they want to use patina tone, which limits it to C1 or C3. So I think what they've done is this PMS 7401C is a grade of C1 they've used, which has patina tone. Now what I'm going to do is, we're now on the patina, I'm going to click over between patina and white on the indices and see is there a difference. So that's white, that's patina. that's white, and that's patina. There's no real difference in terms, you can see it changing over. Just bear with me, I'm going to charge it again and get the camera to autofocus. In terms of performance, the patina is slightly darker than the white, as one would expect, because it's a darker tone of Superluminova. But what we're looking at is C1 Superluminova effectively in a peach patina tone. And we're now on the peach tone, and I'm going to click over to white. So really there's no discernible difference. Patina is slightly darker, but negligible. So when you click over between the white indices and also the peach indices, it glows the same. I'm just going to charge it up one more time to get the camera to autofocus on it. No discernible difference. Same potency of the exciter between the white and the peach patina indices, as you can see. So I'm going to click over again. You can see it clicking over and hear it and feel it clicking over. But in terms of performance, negligible. No difference whatsoever. We're looking at 5 to 6 layers on the roulette wheel, which replaces the date wheel. So performance is good. They could make it more potent. I think they could replace the C1 and upgrade it to X1 with C3. That would increase the potency of it. It's okay performance. It's 5 to 6, but I just think they could make it brighter. So I'd like to see X1 mixed in with C3. They've used C1 Superluminova, and the grade is PMS 7401C. In daylight conditions, there's a perfect colour tone match. So patina on the indices matches the patina on the baton hands, but as I've detailed, the negative subjectively is when you're on the white indices, as I'm showing you, of course, you can't change the colour on the baton hands, and that's something to bear in mind. I think the Lume Pip on the ceramic bezel insert is too orange. It looks more like the orange on the contrasting second hand, but it's too orange. It's not peach tone. So just to clarify, that's peach tone on the indices, and you can see the peach tone matches the baton hands. It doesn't look orange, but this Lume Pip is bright orange, and I think that it's too orange. It would be better if it was just white, alternatively patina peach tone. Just doesn't match. That's something subjectively I'm going to be critical of. I appreciate what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it look like an orange Lume Pip, which is patinated from tritium in the 1960s, but I think it's too orange. Right, so just bear with me, I'll screw the crown back down, and then I'll discuss the movement used, because it's my favourite aspect of the piece. So this is powered by the Soprod caliber P024 automatic, which is a clone of the ETA 2824-2. So Swiss made, and the architecture of the P024 is identical to the ETA 2824-2, which has 25 joules respectively. Runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. Has hand winding and hacking, which useful complications, and a date complication, which of course is replaced with the roulette wheel to change from patina to white indices on the sandwich dial. 38-hour power reserve is perfectly acceptable. The stated accuracy of the P024 is -12 to +30 seconds per day, so rather wide accuracy range, which is equal to the standard grade of ETA 2824-2 and equal to the standard grade of Solita SW200-1. This one is regulated in 5 positions, which is excellent, and the accuracy of this piece, when it's fully wound to its maximum 38 hours, is +5 seconds per day. +5 is actually within cost chronometer limits of -4 to +6. So Nivada Grenchen are doing an excellent job of regulating the P024 calibers they're using. Chronometer accuracy from the P024, +5 is well within the stated -12 to +30. In terms of reliability, the P024 is a reliable, well-proven workhorse Swiss caliber. The architecture is identical to the ETA 2824-2. Build quality, quality control, materials and finishing are equal to the standard grade of ETA 2824-2 and the standard grade of SW200-1 respectively. Of the 3 movements, they are equal quality. Standard grade, they are all the same. Quality of the finishing, materials, build quality, tolerances, everything about them is equal. So no reservations about the P024, it's reliable, it's well proven, and it's a credible alternative to the ETA 2824-2, which is a clone of. +5 is excellent accuracy. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, to evaluate this piece, we need to look at the end links and the bracelet in detail. So female pivoted end links, which is good. They articulate freely. They don't feel stiff or kink. That's excellent. Negative is we have excess play. Longitudinal, lateral, side to side, up and down play in every direction. This is disappointing. One could be magnanimous if this were a low tier piece between €0 and €500 price point. It's a mid tier piece at €1,295. So to clarify, mid tier is €500 to €5,000 price point. At €1,295, it's mid tier. This does not say to me mid tier Swiss made piece at €1,295. This says to me low tier Chinese made piece, €0 to €500, because it's not a friction interference fit. Nivada Grenchen could correct this very easily by drilling a smaller diameter hole in the end link in the flat link bracelet and using a larger diameter spring bar. It's a fundamental to get correct, and it's very easy to get correct, but this is disappointing. Articulates freely, which is good, but play, which is bad. Let's check the other side for continuity. Again, female pooted end link articulates freely, which is good. That's the benefit. Negative is lateral, longitudinal, side to side, up and down play. Wholly unacceptable for a mid-tier piece. In terms of bracelet finishing, outer links are mirror polished to a flawless standard. Beautiful luster to the centre links, which are longitudinal brushed satin finishing. So nice contrast, because the outer links are mirror polished, which complements the mirror polishing to the flanks. Centre links are brushed satin finished. This is very aesthetically pleasing. I love the way it catches the light. The bracelet articulates freely. It flows nicely. Doesn't feel stiff or kink. I'll check the other side for continuity. Again, articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink. Finishing is excellent. Mirror polishing, brush satin finishing is beautiful. No sharp edge to the top edge or the low edge, doesn't pull arm hairs, but rattles. This is the main negative, and the reason why I left this to last, because I want you to be mindful of it. What we're looking at here is an excellent quality head of the piece on a disappointing bracelet. Now, subjectively, one could say, well, it's not disappointing because visually it looks good and it feels good. It's comfortable. It articulates well. Doesn't feel sharp. It doesn't feel rough. It doesn't scratch the wrist. Beautiful luster to it. Visually, it looks good, and we've got the perfection personified 20 to 16 taper. But subjectively, one can say it's disappointing because it rattles. It's sloppy. And it really shouldn't be sloppy because we have 1.6mm screw pins in the links. Screw pins normally tighten up the tolerances. They make the screw pins going through the links a tight interference friction fit. I think they've made a mistake here because these links are very thick. They should slim down the thickness of the links. The other thing they could do is make them tapered in thickness. For example, thicker links at the spring bar end, gradually tapering down in thickness down to the 2-button push clasp, because as you can see, what we've got here are very thick links, and they don't taper down in thickness much from the spring bar end tapering down to the 2-button push clasp. There's a lot of meat on this bracelet. I think it's 20 grams too heavy for a 38mm. They could reduce this by 20 grams from 144 down to 124 very easily by reducing the meat, the thickness of the links. For a flat link bracelet, the links are too thick. They're more like the thickness one gets with a Jubilee style or Oyster style bracelet. But for a flat link bracelet, it's supposed to be thin. It's supposed to be flat. This is too thick. But the problem is it's sloppy. It rattles, both on the 6 o'clock side and also on the 12 o'clock side. And one could be magnanimous if this had a pin and collar system, or alternatively push pins, which are split pins on a low tier piece between €0 and €500, because it's nothing unusual to get a sloppy bracelet on a low tier piece made in China. This is a Swiss made piece at €1,295 with screw pins, but it rattles. It's disappointing, and it's a real shame because visually it looks good, it feels good, beautiful taper on it, and I like the finishing, the contrast, mirror polished outer links contrasting with a brushed satin finish. It looks like a very good bracelet, and it articulates very well, it flows very nicely, but it just rattles. And it's dreadful. So it's a real shame. Excellent quality head of the piece, and bracelet, I'm not going to say it's dreadful quality or poor quality, but just the tolerances need tightening up. Nivada Grenchen really need to improve upon this. Clasp is excellent. I like it. Very well finished. And let's just check the hinge pins finally. This is another area I left till last because when I evaluate a piece, these are the negatives I want you to be mindful of. Left hand hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink. Excess play in every direction. Centre hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, that's the benefit. Sloppy. Right hand hinge pin, which is actually a spring bar, articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, but significant play. Cumulative effect is left hand, centre and right hand hinge pins all have too much play. Cumulatively, sloppy. In terms of finishing, the internals are solid mill 316L grade stainless steel, beautiful longitudinal brushed satin finishing to the top side, underside and flanks, no sharp edges, no sharp corners to the centre, so the finishing is good. Beautiful lustre to it, no sharp edges, doesn't feel sharp, doesn't scratch the wrist. It's good. Snap shut with a nice positive click. 2 button push triggers are heavily sprung loaded, they're well finished, mirror polished to perfection. Clasp looks good, feels good, but problem is long-term durability, because how long is it going to be before the excess shear load put on this pin causes it to fail, excess shear load on the centre pin causes it to fail, excess shear load on the spring bar causes it to fail. It's sloppy. If this were a low-tier piece made in China, I would be magnanimous. Between €0 and €500, one has to be realistic and expect some production cost-cutting measures with low-tier pieces made in China. Nivada Grenchen are Swiss-made pieces. This does not say to me Swiss-made mid-tier piece €1,295. This says to me low-tier Chinese-made €0 to €500 price point finishing. Build quality, quality control, materials, finishing. This is low-tier level. Not acceptable to have this kind of sloppy pins in the bracelets at this price point. They need to refine this. Very easy to get correct. It's a fundamental. Nivada Grenchen really need to tighten up the tolerances to make them friction interference fits on the left, centre and right pin. These are the negatives I want you to be mindful of. Play in the bracelets, play in the end link, play in the pins. But head of the piece is excellent. And of course the piece is available on a bead of rice bracelet as an alternative to the flat link bracelet and a plethora of strap options. So if this flat link bracelet isn't your personal taste, you can have it on the bead of rice bracelet or a plethora of straps. It is worth purchasing for the head of the piece. Bracelet looks good, feels good, just is sloppy. That's the thing to note. So last I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So mid-tier piece, price point is €1,295. I'm going to declare it excellent quality and I'm going to declare it as okay value at €1,295. I can't say it's good value and I can't say it's excellent value due to the quality control issues such as the play in the end link, play in the bracelet and play in the pins in the clasp. If they refined it with a V2 version and tightened up the tolerances of the end links, the bracelet and the pins in the clasp, then I would upgrade it to good or excellent value at €1,295. But as it stands, what we've got is an excellent head of the piece on an okay bracelet, but it needs refinement to be good or excellent quality and excellent value. So I'm going to recommend it to you for consideration. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Nivada Grenchen Aquamar Black. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.